Hello, beautiful warrior women. Kara McCoy here, and let's talk about putting a chink in the chain. So, what does that mean? We're putting a blip in the line. Okay, so here's one of the many tools that I use when women come work with us. If you're stuck in a habit and you can't break it, you want to put an interrupt in. So, here's an example. You're watching Netflix. With Netflix, there's often wanting to nibble on something, chips or ice cream or something, having a glass of wine. I love my glass of wine with Netflix, but I got to be careful with it. So instead of saying, no, 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 I don't want that. I can't have that. I shouldn't have that. You're in resistance. And ask any parent, remember when your kids were little, when you said no to your child, what happened? They wanted it more, right? It's kind of the same with husbands. Um, they want it more because they can't have it because they're being denied. And so, what you want to do is you want to fully go into another direction. So, here's an example. I had a client, Sarah, and Sarah was going into competition. This was about 10 years ago. And we were on the weight loss journey, right? Because she needed to be at a certain place before she stepped on stage. She was doing super well, but she was struggling in the last 3 or 4 weeks. And so we went over everything that she was doing and what she did at night was she made a wiser choice when she was sitting with hubby relaxing. And there's something out there called smart food. I don't know it. I don't eat it, but it's a smart food where it's lower calorie cheesies, lower calorie chips. It's lower calorie popcorn. So the smart food was where she went to instead of the ice cream. Okay, fine. So we're not eating ice cream. We're moving towards our goals, making a different decision with a lower impact food. However, the action and the thinking around it, the habit was still there. Hand to mouth. Sitting watching Netflix must have food. And so what I said to her was, you're still bartering with your food. Here's what I want you to do. It's called putting a chink in the chain. And it is where you totally do something different. So either go for a walk, have a bath, put on some music and dance, anything that is going to create the interrupt in the brain, because all that's happening in the brain, because we are wired for habits and rituals, guys. That's just the way we're wired. And what we need to do is override it, because if we just, don't think about a pink elephant. All right. So all you're thinking about is a pink elephant. So we want to totally change that wiring in the brain. This is the cognitive restructuring. This is what real coaching does. It takes time and it takes a desire on the client's behalf to be able to say, okay, let's really look at this. Let's stay open and curious. I always say to my women, those are the two most important values: stay open and curious, and let's really see where we go with this. And so because she chose to walk her dog, that was her thing. She would take her dog for a half-hour walk. And then she would not sit down in front of the TV again because she knew that that habit would come back in. It would be calling her, Sarah, grab the cheesies. And so she would do other things. She would knit from a corner. She would do some dishes or do some housekeeping, anything. And in time, what happened was the pattern interrupt worked where she could sit down with hubby and it wasn't instantaneously must have cheesies. And so it took time and consistency, but the chink in the chain is about going 180 degrees the other way, not mimicking the same act with something similar but better, like lower calorie food, but totally shifting your body, your action. And I always say there's a body movement is really important as well. And so that's where I always say, if you can put your body into it instead of just your thought, I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to think about something else. If you put your physiology into it, the physiology changes the wiring. So that's where she got out and went for a walk instead of, say, sitting and reading, because she's still sitting, she's still sedentary, and she's trying to deflect from the food thoughts with reading. It can work, but it's not as powerful as if you got up and you started dancing, or you went for a run, or you went for a walk, or you had a bath, or you went outside and did some gardening. I have tons of weeds. I'm always outside doing something. So Putting a chink in the chain allows you to do something 180 degrees the other way so that your brain starts to rewire differently, because it's like the neurotransmitters go from A to B, right? And there's a hard, I'm just saying there's a thought, right? Thoughts are things. And there's a hard line from here to here. And you're trying to make another line from here to here. But that line, that A to B, is very weak because you're just starting a new habit. But eventually, in time and with consistency and action every day, that line, that thought process will be stronger and thicker than this one, and the old thoughts will shift. That's neuroscience, guys. That's neuroplasticity. That's a rewiring of the brain. And that's what you want to make deep, lasting, sustainable change in any area, including body transformation. Okay, I hope that helps. Check it out. Try. See what happens. Okay, ciao.